Hi, this is Kelly with Unpacking the Trunk Costumes. So I am doing my first unboxing video here, so what you see is what you get. I agreed to participate in a CosTube stash swap that was sponsored by Liz from LizCapism and Gwendolyn from Gwen Shenanigans. And so a bunch of us stash swapped with each other. I gave my stash to Rebecca at Pocketful of Posies, and she made the most adorable blouse. Please go check her out. My box came today, and it's from Needles and Nerds. Wait, let me make sure I've got that right. It's Mindy and Rachel, who are adorable. Needles and Nerds. So, this is it. And I get to open it. I can't wait. Ready? Okay, here we go. Non-sewing scissors at the ready. I was so excited yesterday because I saw the postman pull up here in front of my house and I was like, I'm not expecting anything. Oh, but wait. Yes, I am. Okay, it's like there's a little note in here. Now I do need my glasses. Kelly, Unpacking the Trunk Costumes. Dear Kelly, thank you so much for your patience with us. You have been a delight to work with, and we hope you like the material we've managed to gather and can give them a second life. That's the idea, right? The teal taffeta. Oh, look at this. Okay, let me tell you about it. The teal taffeta was originally used to make a modern dress inspired by Eliza Schuyler from the musical Hamilton, and we have sent nearly 3 yards that was left over. We are very bad at calculating fabric. Don't worry, I am too. The dress was to be worn on Broadway in New York, but we were unable to go there before it was shut down in March. We are not sure if it is real or synthetic. It was purchased from a fabric warehouse and it did not specify. That's okay. We also found a couple of fabrics we felt might pair well with the taffeta. We thrift a lot of our own material. Yeah, I thrift all the time. And estate sales and antique stores. Anyway, so we included some thrifted curtain panels. Oh, curtains are the best. They are super cute and we love the pattern even though it is not vintage, but we've yet to find a project that suits them. Look at this. Oh, it's so pretty, and look at this. Oh yeah, I'm loving it. Okay, there's one more. There's more notes. Hold on. Okay. Finally, we're sending some classic Dorothy gingham. Oh, look at it is Dorothy gingham. And wouldn't you know, I'm participating in another challenge, and the base of my costume is Dorothy. Well, her dress, sort of. Anyway, okay, Dorothy. Okay. It fit well with the teal color scheme as well as the stripes on the curtains. It totally does. It totally works. Okay, we know our collection is a bit hodgepodge, so don't feel pressured to use them all on one piece. I'm going to think about that. For some notions, we have sent some teal thread. Ooh, thank you. That's beautiful. Okay. And ribbon. Look at that pretty ribbon. Oh, it's so pretty. Okay. A golden flower barrette. Look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. Okay, okay. And some buttons left over from some past 18th century projects. Okay, okay. There's some beautiful gold buttons. Oh, little clasp. Oh my goodness, and these are beautiful. Oh my goodness, this is so much fun. Okay, we can't wait to see what you make. Best of luck, Rachel and Mindy, Needles and Nerds. Thank you, Rachel and Mindy. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to get going on this and to put my ideas together. Right now, my brain is like full of ideas. I have to really narrow this down because there's so many things I could make. All right, what comes up next is what I end up making. I chose to make an Edwardian shirtwaist from the Blue Dorothy or gingham fabric, and I used Wearing History's Edwardian blouse in GIMP pattern 1005. I've made this pattern before, and with small alterations it fit beautifully. I chose to make the view with the shorter sleeves and no collar. I cut out all the pattern pieces. I made the sleeves shorter than the pattern called for because I have a wide crocheted lace I wanted to use for the bottom of the sleeves. I used my old pattern pieces from before, needing to do a little bit of piecing to make the peplum at the bottom, but that's okay. I stay stitched the neck opening and the arm size. That helps prevent the cut edges from stretching. You see, I'm doing an old quilter's trick. I make a lot of quilts, and I learned a long time ago to chain piece things when I can. So that's what I was doing there. And here is another quilter's thing I learned a long time ago, which is to always iron anything that you sew after you sew it, which helps settle the stitches right into the fabric. Gracie and Maisie decided to help me that day. That's Gracie and that's Maisie. The girls like to hang out with me in the sewing room. Maisie's listening. Gracie is not listening. Oh yes, she is listening. Now I have to apologize that I did not film some parts of the construction of this blouse. I'm not sure why. I sewed the fronts and backs together at the shoulders and side seams using French seams. And what you're seeing here is a bias strip I made of the extra gingham fabric, and I used that as a neck facing. It finished off the neck edge nice and clean. Again, I did attach the sleeves and the pretty lace that I told you about, but I don't know where that footage went, and I'm very sorry. For the front, I used this lace I found at an estate sale, and I spent a lot of time on the phone with my talented seamstress auntie, Aunt Patty, trying to help me decide how to put this lace on the front. So what we decided was 2 rows of the lace right down the front all the way to the bottom. And then I added a little shorter piece on either side. And then another piece on the other side of that was a little bit shorter than that. And I angled the bottom of the lace. Turned out really pretty. I carefully sewed on all the lace, being really careful to not let the holes of the lace get caught in the foot of my sewing machine, she said, from experience. I then sewed the buttonholes on the back. Everything I made the shirtwaist with, I used stash items, so that lace and the buttons and the thread, everything I had was in my stash, and of course the fabric was the Costube stash swap. So this is how I cut my buttonholes. I use this little chisel and this little tiny mat and a hammer, and I very carefully put the chisel down between the two lines of stitching, and then I smack the top of the chisel with a hammer. It makes a really nice cut edge. I fray check the edges once they're cut so they don't unravel. It takes a little bit of practice to do this, but it turns out really, really nice. So I do my buttons on the machine too, if I can. What I do is I drop my feed dogs and I line up the needle with the first hole. I put the machine on a zigzag with a fairly small stitch length. So I drop it down and then I drop the presser foot without a foot on it. And then only using the hand wheel, I drop the needle down to the second hole. And I make sure that I line up the button real carefully. See, it's just a little off. I line it up, line it up. I'm only using the hand wheel for this. My foot is far away from the pedal at this point. I carefully do about 4 or 5 stitches through the holes, and then once I'm satisfied that it's going to hit the holes every time, I use my presser foot, I use my pedal very, very carefully to stitch about another 8 stitches. Quick and easy way. I leave long tails and I tie them off at the back, and then I use a little drop of fray check on the back of the button, and I put a little bit on the front of the button too, just to keep those stitches still. I put tiny little decorative pearl buttons on the front. I used an awl to poke a hole through the lace and the fabric. The buttons had a little shank on the back of them, a little metal shank. And so once I'd made the hole, I pushed the shank of the button through the hole, flipped it over, and I had a needle and thread ready. See, there it is. And then I just put a few stitches through the back of the button. Of course, the button's purely decorative, but it turned out really cute. There it is. Then I stitched the waist casing, which I made from, I think it was a 1-inch bias tape, on the inside of the shirtwaist along the lines indicated on the pattern. This waist tape sits just above the peplum, and when you cinch it around your waist, you can tuck that and the peplum into your skirt and it stays put. And then I threaded the twill tape I had right through the casing, and that is what I tie around my waist when I have the shirt on. I then decided to use the cute curtain fabric and the taffeta, and I used the Pragmatic Costumers Procrastinators purse pattern for a little reticule. I thought this would be so sweet with the blouse. So I've linked that below. I cut the curtain fabric first, and then I cut the taffeta. You can either do a pointed end or a rounded end, so I used the curved end. Then I folded the pattern back where the casing needed to go, and I marked a line where the lower edge of the casing needed to be. I did this on all of the pieces. The casing was only 1/2 inch, and I have this neat little ruler with a 1/2 inch on it, so I went ahead and drew the 1/2 inch line. And then I matched up the right sides of the taffeta and of the curtain fabric each piece. And then I carefully pinned through the casing to make sure that they were lined up through all of the pieces. And I pinned the pieces together. And then I sewed from the top line of the casing all the way around the top of the reticule. I did that on both pieces. This was such a fun pattern to make. So then I turned the top right side out and I pressed it flat. And then I sewed the casing lines into the fabric, both the top and the bottom casing lines. Yep, there I am doing quilter's chain piecing again. Why not? As long as I remember to tack it, I'm good. And then I snipped the seam allowance where it had turned itself in. This is part of the directions that she gives you. And then I lined up both of the sides of the reticule, front and back, right sides together. And I matched up all the sides and I pinned them together. I had a little bit of truing up to do, so I went ahead and took my trusty scissors and just trued up the edges a little bit. And then I sewed all of the pieces together. And I pressed it flat, and then I took out my new to me old scissors. I'd found at an estate sale. They're pinking shears because I knew that fabric was going to fray. So I went ahead and I trimmed the seam allowance. They worked really good. They needed some oil because they were, as pinking shears tend to be, a little bit hard to use, but they were really sharp. It worked great. And then I turned the whole thing right side out. Made sure I pushed out all of the seam, gave it a good pressing. Now, you remember that teal ribbon? That is how I tied the reticule closed. I threaded it through the casing on each side. And then remember the buttons? I used those to tie the two ends of the ribbon together. It turned out so sweet. I hope you enjoyed my little project. I truly had a wonderful time making this shirtwaist and reticule. Thank you, Mindy and Rachel from Needles and Nerds, and Gwen and Liz for the CosTube Stash Swap Challenge. The outfit reminded me of something a teacher would wear, so I made this little film. Enjoy this footage that was filmed at Kennedy School in Portland, Oregon by my friend Lisa Sample, whose YouTube channel is linked below. If you liked what you saw, please hit the like button for me. And remember to subscribe and click the little bell icon to be notified each time I post a video. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.